In this video, I will show you how to make $10,000 a month selling consulting, even if you have zero business experience. You are hardworking and competent, and you have big ambitions, but you don't know where to start. I got you. Today, I will show you how to turn your skills into a consulting offer and get paid for it, how to sell your first 3 deals, and how to reach $2,000, then $5,000, then $10,000 in revenue per month. I have made a combined revenue of $65 million selling consulting deals. So this playbook is tried and tested. Let's dive in. Stage 0, the foundation. This is the stage where you'll turn your skill into an offer people will pay for. Many people think you need to know astrophysics to consult for others, but that's not true. You just need to know something that someone else doesn't know, or be willing to do something that others aren't willing to do. Let's use my 10+5 method to narrow down potential offers. Think of something you enjoy doing and are good at. Now open a spreadsheet. In one column, list 10 people you know who may have a need for your service. Next, I want you to reach out to them and ask them how they take care of that need. If you haven't asked people questions like this before, it's hard, I know. Let me make it simpler for you. The fastest way to ask is to email or text them, but it's best if you can talk to them. If you're nervous about this, go to places where you typically see these people, like at the gym, at work, or at church, and talk to them like it wasn't planned. You can ask them, "Hey John, I want to start a consulting business doing X. I think I have the skills to do it well. Do you think there's a need for it? And do you hire anyone for it?" If they do, ask them what current consultants miss when providing this service. Then pause and take notes of everything they say. Now back to the spreadsheet. In a second column, list 5 competitors, consultants, or companies offering similar services. I want you to research them thoroughly. Read their websites and follow them on social media. Write down what they're selling and how they're selling, what features and benefits they're providing, and also at what price. As a bonus, look for reviews or feedback about these competitors. Let's take an example. Say you love strength training and know more about it than the average Joe. You go through the 10+5 method, and then you realize that there's a demand for personal trainers. But there are many established coaches to compete against in your area. That happens. But through your 10+5 research, you also find a gap in the market. It could be that a certain type of strength training isn't available in your area, or perhaps a lack of specialized equipment, or a demographic that isn't well served, for example, pregnant women or individuals recovering from injuries who need tailored programs to rebuild their strength. Now, don't take more than 1 week to complete this stage. By the end of the week, you should have enough information to identify the value your service brings to clients, the going market rates, what would make you stand out. Now, the next most important thing is to run with it, which is exactly what we will do in the next stage. In stage 1, your goals are to get 10 rejections and sell to 3 clients. In 2003, I went out for the first time in my life to sell. I had no sales background, and I asked 5 restaurants if I could build them a website, but all 5 of them coldly rejected me. It was so difficult that it took my partner and I a few days to recover. Then we went out again, but this time around, every time we encountered a rejection, we noted the objection, so we were ready for next time. After a few weeks of this grind, we closed our first deal with Athena Grill, a diner here in Santa Clara. Closing your first deal is very rewarding. Many new founders never get there because they complicate the process. We didn't close our deal because we had the finest suits, or maybe the most polished pitch, or the newest iPad. We closed our first deal because we were willing to deal with rejections. So you need to contact every connection and tell them about your business. Reach out to colleagues, ex-colleagues, friends, family, mentors, advisors, neighbors, and your community or religious organization. If they can't buy, Ask them for referrals. Now, you'll be uncomfortable in the beginning, but that's okay. I hated selling at first as well. But with deliberate practice, you'll get stronger, I promise. But this effort is a waste if you're only looking for perfect clients. So at this stage, be flexible with pricing and the types of clients and projects you're willing to work with. Because at this stage, your goal isn't to make bank, but to get 10 rejections, close 3 deals, overcome the fear of selling, and practice your pitch. Stage 1 was a warm-up for our 10K run. So at stage 2, you'll start the actual race and reach $2,000 a month by month 4. Note here that the framework and the timeline that I'm sharing with you work for many businesses. Your own numbers and timelines might vary, but the process will still work. And more important than any number or timeline is the transformation in your mindset and the way you think about business that I want you to experience. Now back to making $2,000. You'll accomplish that by getting even further out of your comfort zone. You need to push yourself to go out and talk to strangers and leave a great impression on them. Now you can find plenty of strangers at networking events, so go attend some. In most areas, there are plenty of local opportunities to network, but if you can't find any, look for regional events to attend and connect with your audience and/or people who can connect you with your audience. Enter these events with a couple of conversation starters. Introduce yourself, ask about what they do, and listen attentively. Find ways to pique their interest in your service, but overall, keep it conversational and listen more than you talk. But before heading out to any event, spend a few minutes setting targets for yourself. I always used to set targets. For example, I say, I want to start 10 conversations and I want to collect 5 business cards, emails, or LinkedIn connections. Don't be shy. People are attending these events because they want to network as well. Talk with the speakers, the attendees, and the vendors. Now let's run some math. If you attend 4 events in a month, you should get about 20 leads. For different reasons, 15 of them will not buy from you and they will not be a good fit for the business. In sales lingo, those will be called unqualified leads. So you'll end up with 5 qualified leads. Now, before I continue, all of this effort is a complete waste of time if you don't do the following immediately after each event. Enter all the data you've gathered into a spreadsheet. Check out this video where I walk you through an easy do-it-yourself CRM you can use for free. It works just fine for this early stage. If you have a CRM already, enter the data there. In any case, if you wait for a few days to enter this information, you'll forget important details about each interaction and your data will be incomplete. Now, within 2 days of the event, I want you to send follow-up emails, make calls, and make sure you connect with these qualified leads so that you can build on the relationship. At this point, you're just investigating their needs, educating them about your solution and how it benefits them. So you're not selling to them yet, you are adding value and strengthening the relationship. But if you don't continue to make good impression on these leads, you may never reach a signed contract. Here's how you can make a terrible impression. Hey Linda, I met you at the event and here's a list of my services. Let me know if you want me to send a proposal. My friends, this is lazy and unprofessional. Instead, spend time reading about their industry and also news about their company. Then figure out what value you can add and what sets you apart from other consultants. Now write a customized follow-up message explaining how you can address their needs and how you stand out. With this customization, 2 of these 5 leads will be interested in your services. And eventually, 1 of them will buy. Bingo! By now, you've interacted with leads and sold and delivered your service to multiple clients, so you should know who your ideal client is. In other words, you have formally or informally developed a persona or avatar. For business to consumer, B2C, you need to know about their age, gender, needs, hopes, and dreams. And for business to business, B2B, you also need to know about the size of the business, the decision makers, along with any other relevant information. Knowing this information means you can target your messaging to a smaller audience and generate more qualified leads. But how can you do this? For one, you speak about things that are important and relevant to them, such as their fears and desires. Secondly, you can narrow down the events you attend to the ones you think your audience will attend. And thirdly, you can reach out to them online through platforms like LinkedIn and Zoom Info. By the end of this stage, you should have reached $2,000 in revenue per month, strengthened your sales muscle, learned how to research leads and follow up with them, and practice delivering your service more. At stage 3 of this run, we must hit $5,000 a month by month 8. In 2004, I received what was, at that point, the single most important sales advice in my life. It was, well, subscribe now if you want 20 plus years of experience growing 7 and 8 figure consulting businesses. Just kidding. But the advice was given to me by Marvin, a sales coach I was working with. He urged me to set up a recurring revenue model as soon as possible. I took the advice to heart and implemented it immediately. The results were mind-blowing. But first, let me explain what recurring revenue is. In recurring revenue, your services are ongoing, unlike project-based services, which are one-off. For example, a cybersecurity firm that sells monthly security audits expects many or most of their clients to return to them month after month. So shortly after I implemented Marvin's idea and advice, a client started with us at $200 per month. Because we made them happy, they not only kept the agreement going, they expanded it all the way to $5,000 a month by 2019 when we sold the business. This client alone brought in a total revenue of over $700,000. Unfortunately, most founders I meet struggle with turning their service into a recurring model. Even if your service is one-off, think creatively. How can I identify ways to continue servicing my clients? Well, here's what I have used over the years. You can offer services around annual support and maintenance plans, training packages, quarterly or annual audits, upgrades, and even a hotline, a support service when help is needed. Now, finding ways to do recurring work for your clients is one way to reach $5,000 at this stage. Another way we'll reach $5,000 is through streamlining your operation. At a high level, growth is about observing and documenting what works and repeating it. If you can improve the efficiency of both selling and delivery, you'll have more time to sell and more time to deliver. Let's say when you started, it took you about 10 hours to close a $1,500 project because you needed to interact with the client, send emails, prepare a presentation, negotiate, send a proposal, and then close the deal. After going through the sales cycle for a few times, you optimize areas and create processes. For example, you develop a proposal template with standard and customizable sections on references, scope, and pricing. So now, instead of spending 10 hours on a deal, your average time looks more like this. So basically, you're saving 4 hours on every deal you close. And if you're pitching to 2 customers per week, you save 8 hours per week. And then over the span of a year, you're saving over 400 hours. You can spend this time on marketing, networking, pitching, and getting the remaining clients you need to meet your $5,000 target. In the next stage, we'll finally work our way up to $10,000. At stage 4 of our run, we're closing in on the finish line. One way we'll reach it is by increasing revenue without increasing clients. You heard right. Generally, a client who buys from you once is far more likely to spend more money with you than a new lead who has never bought anything from you. So, how exactly do you get more money from existing clients? See, clients almost always have other needs they could use help with. If after you deliver the project, the client is happy, you can pitch them something new, or they may even ask you to help them with other things. One of the most common ways of doing this is what's called cross-selling. It frequently happens in retail. Would you like a milkshake with your burger? So cross-selling means to add related or complementary services to the ones an existing client has already bought, such as your personal tax preparer offering to help you with your business taxes. Another common way to generate revenue from existing clients is through upselling. Upselling means to sell upgraded services to what an existing client has already bought. For example, say you sell an HR compliance audit for $2,000. You can add a quarterly check-in with phone support and charge $3,000 for the whole package. This way, you made an extra $1,000 from the same client. The other method we will use to reach $10,000 is an easy one, but most founders take a long time to implement because it feels wrong. However, it instantly increases your revenue, and that is doubling your prices. If your immediate reaction is, but my clients will leave, then my question is, if you have 20 clients and half of them leave after you double your price, aren't you still making the same amount of money for half the work? Don't be so scared of losing clients. My only caveat is that you can't do this if you've already started with a high price or you've already been increasing it. And now, congratulations, you just hit $10,000 in about 12 months. If you're ambitious enough to continue growing your revenue, stage 5 is for you. In this stage, your goal is to reach 7 figures. It is the growth and scaling stage. Everything you've done to reach 10K a month is a walk in the park compared to the work needed to reach 7 figures. Stage 5 is mostly about hiring and expanding to new services. You'll need to ramp up your business to more professional processes and systems so you can go after bigger projects and bigger markets. Depending upon how hard you work, how fast you learn, and market conditions, this can take anywhere from 2 to 5 years or more. It took me 8 years to scale my first business to 7 figures. But when I started another business and applied what I had learned, including some of the strategies I've covered in this video, I was able to cut that time in half. Now that we've covered the 4 stages leading up to this stage, I trust that you're more than capable of reaching 7 figures, making life-changing money, and building something you'll be very proud of. Trust me, it's very rewarding to see what you have accomplished. The most important advice I can leave you with is that making $10,000 a month is impossible if you treat your business like a side hustle, because side hustles hold you back. Click here to find out how.